How's it going? More YouTube reactions. Interesting test that turned deadly. Yeah, shortish video, really cool, insane, and just a real bleak view of how we got to the dystopian monopolization of companies that we have now. Enjoy. So this is from Bloomberg Originals. Bloomberg is a big media landscape, traditional landscape in the U.S. This is a article they did about the 90s Pepsi contest in the Philippines that killed people. Yeah.
Pepsi's Number Fever campaign in the Philippines has probably gone down in history as one of the biggest marketing disasters in history, mainly because of a human error that led Pepsi to print more winning caps than they planned. The resulting chaos caused...
So I don't know if they'll say it. So the idea was, they went on for originally 6 weeks. They would print winning number twice for the whole country. And if you got the right bottle cap, you would win a lot of money. I think it was like $1 million or something. It was so popular in the Philippines that Pepsi did an extra 4 weeks, but it wasn't planned, and they didn't figure out their numbers correctly. So on one of the last weeks, the winning number was one of the numbers that they printed thousands of because they didn't predict that it was going to be a winner. So people held on to these caps just in case. And when it turned out that that number was picked, thousands of people were asking for their $1 million.
Riots, civil unrest, and even deaths. Reporting this story took over a year, and it resulted in me flying to Manila in the Philippines to meet unlucky winners.
Yeah.
And to find out exactly what happened back then in the 1990s.
This was insane, and I didn't know this happened. Apparently, Pepsi in the Philippines is still not something that you're going to see a lot. A lot of people are Coke people now because of this.
I'm a journalist based in Los Angeles. I wrote the story for Bloomberg Business Week about Pepsi's Number Fever campaign. The Philippines is a really interesting country. It's made up of thousands of islands.
With all their own little cultures.
It's also a country that's very heavily influenced by America. American culture is everywhere you look in the Philippines. They're obsessed with Frank Sinatra music, for example. They love all things America, and that extends to their love for soft drinks. Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola. In the 1990s, it was everywhere. Pepsi and Coca-Cola were embroiled in what is now known as the Cola War.
Yep, I remember that part.
Battle for
I remember, so this was worldwide, definitely in the 90s going into 2000s for sure. Coke and Pepsi would spend billions of dollars on marketing just to get a little bit leg up. I didn't know that Pepsi did this in the Philippines, but in Canada, Coke would literally do competitions to test Coke and Pepsi, proving, and statistically, people would choose Coke more than Pepsi and could tell which was Coke because Pepsi is flat.
Market dominance. Number Fever was already a really popular promotion. It had been rolled out in America to great success. And so Pepsi decided to roll it out internationally, particularly in Asia. They thought it was the answer to their problems. They thought it could finally help them beat their biggest competitor.
In theory, it did, until it didn't.
898, I won! Look for the winning number in five for us every day, also on TV, radio, newspapers. You could be a millionaire.
$1 million pesos, or $68,000, doesn't sound like a lot now. But in 1992, that was a phenomenal amount of money.
I mean...
You've got to remember that in the Philippines at the time,
I would take $68,000 right now. That would be life-changing for me.
The average monthly income was about $100, so $1 million pesos was wealth beyond anyone's wildest imaginations. Number fever caught fire in the Philippines. Kids were saving up their pocket money to buy a bottle of Pepsi. Parents were squirreling away all of the bottle caps in bags. You would walk down the street and people were going through trash trying to find discarded bottle caps. It was a national phenomenon. Pepsi boasted that half the population of the Philippines was playing it.
Yep.
Number fever boosted Pepsi's sales.
I mean, for North Americans, well, bottle cap fever was a thing in the U.S. as well, but for people younger, this is like the whole McDonald's monopoly thing, where people, for a lot of years, would go through trash, would collect them because they wanted the rewards.
Every month from $10 million to $14 million. It had a huge impact on Pepsi's bottom line. Number fever quickly became number hysteria. Maids were being jailed for stealing their employers' winning bottle caps.
Didn't know about that.
There was even some murders over winning bottle caps. People were fighting in the streets over these caps. There were signs that there were going to be problems with number fever very early. Pepsi had rolled out the competition.
This is why most people nowadays, if they win the lottery, they don't tell anyone. They make no, say that they won. Because, you get that much money at one time and it's not fully secure, people will kill you for it.
In Chile, and a garbled fax had caused some kind of problem with the winning number. They'd announced the wrong one in Chile, causing riots. There were signs that
I didn't know about the
there could be
Chilean
big
one.
Problems ahead if they didn't keep their eye on the ball. So in 1992, Pepsi decided to extend the campaign in the Philippines, and they announced that the competition would go on for a few more weeks. One night, on the television news, they announced the latest winning number, 349. The problem was
the death symbol for the Philippines
had already been allocated as a non-winning number in earlier campaigns. So there were literally hundreds of thousands of bottle caps with 349 just floating around the Philippines. Hundreds of thousands of people all across the Philippines, thousands of islands, were finding winning bottle caps. 349, 349. Some people had 10 lucky 349 bottle caps. People were dancing in the street, celebrating. They thought their problems were over. They were millionaires. It's still not certain exactly how many winners there were of lucky 349 bottle caps, but we know that Pepsi printed over 600,000 of them.
Yep.
Pepsi.
And guess if Pepsi paid the people. Well, the fact that Pepsi isn't bankrupt, I think, says a lot. And this is where it gets really, really disgusting.
He realized very early that there was a problem. Hundreds of people started arriving at their bottling plants with their lucky bottle caps. They realized something was seriously wrong. Pepsi tried to solve the problem by offering a small token donation to anyone that brought a lucky bottle cap to their bottling plant. But it wasn't enough. People didn't want just a handful of pesos. People wanted their $1 million peso prize. Within a year, violent protests.
You promised them $1 million for it. It's not their fault you fucked up. Again, Pepsi fucked up. Pepsi screwed up on their own. No one else manipulated the situation but Pepsi.
Protests and riots outside Pepsi factories would leave dozens injured and 5 people dead. At one Pepsi factory in the Philippines, a grenade was thrown through the window. It killed 3 Pepsi employees.
I just got to say, I understand the outrage, but those Pepsi employees are also Filipino. They had nothing to do with it. And this is where corporations really are discussing, because most people that get screwed by it are the workers and not the people who made the decisions.
Anacita Rosario was a school teacher living near Manila in the Philippines. She was one of the tragic victims of this whole thing. She was walking to a nearby store to buy some rice one day when a Molotov cocktail was thrown at a Pepsi truck in a violent protest. It bounced under the truck and exploded. It killed her and an innocent bystander who was just a child and injured many others. When I was in the Philippines, I tracked down Anacita's daughter, Cindy, and her husband, Raul. It was clear to me that they were still very upset by the whole thing.
Yeah, because Pepsi didn't do anything because, oh, well, we didn't throw the cocktail. It's true. And what are you going to do? Find that one random person that probably ran off? Like, it's disgusting.
A family had been ripped apart by this competition. And Raul told me that he'd never remarried. He'd told me that he'd gone to meet Pepsi executives after his wife was killed. And he was angry. He said to them, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for Number Fever.
True. You screwed up. You chose to ignore it. People got angry. And even though you didn't throw the cocktail, you're the reason for the cocktail.
The biggest revelation from my reporting was rumors that Pepsi was somehow involved in bombing their own trucks. I found a newspaper report with a headline that said, "Pepsi goons bomb their own trucks." And when I visited the NBI, the police department in the Philippines, they presented me with documents and interviews with people who claimed that Pepsi had paid them to cause riots and to cause trouble outside their plants in order to destabilize
This is insane.
the situation and to frame the owners of the coalitions that were fighting them to try and curry favor. I just thought that was so shocking. And of course, Pepsi denied it, but how bizarre that a company would be accused of bombing their own trucks.
It's insane, but at the same time, we've seen corporations do shit like this before. Like there's a whole like joke of like burning, your office for, the insurance.
The contest had sparked so much anger in the Philippines because it landed at just this really weird time in the Philippines' history. It was during a crazy election that was racked with allegations of fraud. The Philippines was in a kind of love-hate relationship with America. They loved, obviously, the American aid and finances that was pouring into the country, but at the same time, they yearned for independence. They wanted to be their own country. Vicente Del Fierro was a local preacher living in Manila, and he hated the Number Fever campaign. Del Fierro thought Pepsi's Number Fever campaign was just one of the many ways that America was asserting its dominance over a third world country. He hated
He's
seeing
not
his fellow
wrong.
countrymen
He's not wrong.
get ripped off, in his eyes, by this huge multinational American company. He wanted justice. Del Fierro rounded up over 800 winners of 349 bottle caps, and he got them all together to sue Pepsi for over $400 million to be divided between those holders of lucky bottle caps. Del Fierro took money from some of the people who could afford it.
Yep, I was waiting for this. This dude, even though I agree with him about Pepsi, doesn't mean I think he's a good dude. I have a feeling that he took advantage, just like Pepsi did, of these people.
They paid him 500 pesos to help with legal fees, but for people who couldn't afford the money, he would just represent them pro bono.
Oh, never mind. That's actually really good. No, 500, lawyers are not cheap, so if they can help, absolutely. Okay, never mind. Maybe he's not as shady as I thought.
To build up pressure on Pepsi. And so you see people marching in the streets. So we have mounted our own campaign, even in the U.S.
He flew to America and he hired two consumer lawyers here in America to take on Pepsi. He had a meeting at Pepsi's headquarters to try and resolve the problem. But he said
if you want the best lawyers, especially in like this field, go to America.
Wanted to take it all the way to the highest courts in America.
The Supreme?
When those cases were heard in America, those courts decided that this was a problem that should be heard in the Philippines, not in America.
An American company screwed over
Nice to meet you.
This is where I don't know. I don't know. Like, should it be set? Actually, it probably should be set in United, the UN courts, because it is a geographical, political thing between two countries.
Back in the Philippines, Del Fierro continued his case in the Filipino courts. At one stage, there were arrest warrants handed out for 9 Pepsi Cola executives, which he saw as a big victory. We don't know if those arrest warrants were ever upheld, but it made newspaper headlines across the country. Pepsi did not take kindly to Del Fierro's campaign.
Of course not. They want to sweep it under the floor.
Shut him down. They sued him for libel.
Which
my father had to...
Which is bullshit, because, like, what is he wrong about?
Attend 3 times a month for a branch 145. And another hearing for the branch 113, also 3 times a month. Also, there was a time my father was hospital due to heart failure. Still, he had to attend the 2 branch hearing. Otherwise, for not attending, the judge will issue warrant of arrest to my father.
Insane.
My father passed away January 13, 2010. After staying for almost 1 year in the hospital, he died of complication due to heart failure.
I feel bad.
After the death of my...
This dude actually seems like he's just with a generally good dude. Rest in peace.
Father, I was inspired to do the website. PepsiCo will be remembered for what they did to the consumer in the Philippines, and to my father.
Fuck you, Pepsi.
When I reached out to Pepsi for comment for this story, they claimed that they didn't have access to anyone who was working at Pepsi that was around in those days.
It's bullshit.
They also said that during COVID-19 they didn't have access to their documents about
also
this.
Bullshit.
You know, they were very careful to say that they were sorry for everything that happened, and we do know that Pepsi did try everything to try and make this right. The Pepsi number fever disaster cost the company millions. We know that they paid up to $10 million in those goodwill payments. But the financial effect could be much greater. After the disaster, we know that Pepsi sales dipped. They were overtaken by Coca-Cola again. Pepsi's number fever disaster changed the legacy of that soft drink in the Philippines forever.
Yep.
Some people of a certain age won't touch it. For many people, Pepsi is a taboo word.
And that's 100% fair. Coke didn't have to do a single thing. Pepsi fucked up.
The people that I spoke to were still quite traumatized by their experience, by that experience of winning 1 million pesos, losing it, and then returning to their normal life in poverty in Manila.
Insane. History, man. There's so much stuff that, like, we just do not learn. And, like, yeah, this is a massive thing that should affect people globally about Pepsi, and no one knows about it. Like, seriously, like, fuck Pepsi. They cause so many lives to be ruined, not just in the Philippines, but, like, in Chile. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. Check me out on Twitch, SilverDFanng, 2 N's in Fang. Check me out on Twitter and Blue Sky under the same name. Also TikTok. Have a great night.